Hey guys, what's up? It's Charlie here, and today we're going to be looking at 10 photos to test your intelligence. So, do you think you're smart? Well, I sure hope you do, as it takes a genius to get 100% of these questions right. Some of them are easy and most people should be able to do them, but some are very hard and can only be done by people like FBI agents. So, before you get recruited by the FBI, click subscribe and press the notification bell too. Coming in at number 10, we have connect the dots. So as you can see here, there are 4 dots, and the task or question is very simple. That is, connect all of these dots using only 3 lines. Now, of course, 3 lines makes a triangle, but triangles are pretty much always smaller than squares, so how can you do this? It almost seems impossible, and every single thing you think of doesn't work. I guarantee you guys are trying it out in your head right now, but despite this looking super simple, it's very difficult, so I'm going to give you guys a bit of time to work it out. I'll start the 10-second timer now and then reveal the answer. Okay guys, so now for the answer. If you got this right, then congrats, because it's way harder than people think. Now, you do need to make a triangle, but you need to go a bit off grid. You can draw a right angle to connect up 3 of the dots, but you're gonna have to go way down and go off the grid to actually finish this. You then need to do another line making one big triangle off the grid. This amazingly does connect all of the dots up with only 3 lines. It seems almost impossible to do this from a first glance, but really it's kind of simple. It's crazy how our brains make things look way more complex than they really are. Did you guys get this in the 10 seconds or not? If you didn't, then don't worry, because there's 9 more. Next up is separate parts. So this is another very tricky puzzle involving shapes. As you can see here, there are 2 spirally shapes. Now, they may look identical, but they're not. They kind of look like the top of a stove. But what is the difference between these 2, you may be asking? Well, despite them looking identical, one of the spirals is one thing and the other consists of 2 separate parts. But which is which? If you guys can work it out, then you have great eyesight. And you're also very good at attention to detail. So guys, I'm going to put the 10-second timer up on screen. All you need to do is work out which one is 2 separate parts and which one is all one thing. Did you get it? I hope so, because if you did get it, there's a great meaning to it. So in case you couldn't work it out, the one on the right is separated into 2 parts. As you can see, the one on the left is all joined up, but the one on the right is 2 separate parts curving into each other. Now, because it's all spirally, it really confuses the brain. But if you were able to pick these 2 apart, then you have a great vision. You have fantastic attention to detail, and this may make you a good engineer. This is actually a test many engineers do. And chances are, if you got this right, you have a very high intelligence. But if you didn't, don't panic, because there's 8 more. Next up is teapots. So this one seems like the most obvious one on this list, but in reality it's much more difficult. So check out these 2 teapots, A and B. So I'm going to tell you that teapot A contains 32 cups of tea. So if teapot A holds 32 cups, how many cups does teapot B contain? Remember guys, you have to think very hard about this. But if you get it right, you may be a genius, so try your best. I'll put the 10 seconds up on screen now. So guys, did you get the answer or not? Either way, I'm gonna tell you. So teapot A contains 32 cups of tea, right? Now, many people think that teapot B contains way more than this. In some cases, people say 64, as that's double 32. But they would be wrong. The actual amount of cups in teapot B is 16. Now, you may be thinking, why does B hold half the amount that teapot A holds, even though it's double as big? Well, it's all to do with the outlet of the teapot. As you can see on teapot A, it's pretty high. But on teapot B, it's exactly halfway up teapot A. Now, with teapot A, you'd be able to get all the tea out. But if you tilted teapot B, it would flow over the top. And so that is why it holds less tea, because the water simply spills out and starts overflowing. This is a very tricky one to think of and confuses a lot of people, but if you guys got this right, then you're very smart. Chances are you're great at math and engineering, and you also have a very logical mind and know how things work. Next up is bridge. So you're probably used to spot the difference photos in kids' books, but this one is not for kids and is way more difficult than usual. So check out these 2 photos of Tower Bridge in London, UK. They look identical, right? Well, that is where you would be wrong. There are actually differences in these photos, but can you spot the difference? If you can, then you're very intelligent and observant, but it's not easy. So I'm gonna put a 10-second timer up on screen right now, so try and spot the difference. Did you guys spot the difference? If so, then well done, you're incredibly observant. But if not, don't worry, I'm going to tell you what it is. And it's actually a lot simpler than you may think. If you look at the two photos, you'll see the one on the right has 3 flags, but the one on the left has 2. In case you're wondering, the one on the right is correct. Tower Bridge has 3 flags, so hopefully nobody from London cheated on this. But either way, this is a very tricky spot the difference, which many people get wrong. But leave a comment whether you got it wrong or not. Next up is mechanism. So if you got the bridge one right and thought it was easy, then try this one on for size. This one is way harder and will blow your mind. So factories are already very complicated, but do you think you can tell the difference between 2 photos from a factory? Bear in mind they're very complex. I'll put a timer on screen right now, and if you can get this, then well done. So guys, could you work out the difference in these photos? Most of you are probably saying no, but to the few who did, well done. But there's a reason why so many people get this wrong. That is because our eyes naturally are drawn to the top of a photo. That's because most of the time it's where all the detail is. And at the top of this photo there's a lot of detail like bolts, hoses and a thermometer. But the actual difference in the photos is the green mechanism on the bottom. As you can see on the left photo there are 7 bolts, but on the right photo there's only 6. I'm not sure which one is the real one here, but it doesn't really matter. The only thing that matters is if you could spot the difference between the two. If you could, then well done, but if not, then we have many more spot the difference questions coming up in a moment. Next up is London. So we've already seen the Tower Bridge one from London before, but some people may have got that wrong, so I'll give you another chance in London. So this may look like the most typical photo of London ever. You can see the Houses of Parliament, Big Ben, and a big red London bus. Now, they're clearly in both photos, but there are some small differences in the images. And I'll give you a hint, in these images, there's not just one difference. I'll put a timer on screen now, so try and work it out. Okay, so you may have got some differences, as some of them are pretty easy, but did you get them all? Well, the first difference obviously is there's a plane in the right photo. You'd have to have no eyes to not be able to see that. But what about the more tricky differences? Well, you should have also seen the difference of the clock. As you can see, the two photos are pointing to different times. But there is a final difference which is very hard to spot. As you can see on the buses, there are 2 different numbers. On the left one there's 12 and on the right is 20. I'm pretty sure the real photo here is the one on the left. But all that really matters is if you got these 3 differences. If you did, then pat yourself on the back. That is because most people get 1 or 2 differences. But very few people get all 3 unless they're very observant and intelligent. Next up is cabins. So check out these 2 photos of these creepy log cabins in the woods. I really would not want to stay in these at night. But anyway, there's an incredibly hard to spot difference in one of these images. But which image is it in? But what is the difference? I'll give you some time to work it out, and if you can, then well done. So guys, did you work it out after the 10 seconds? I know 10 seconds may seem like a lot to find one difference, but it's very hard to see. So no shame if you didn't get it. So now time to reveal it. Check out the left photo and there's a pillar underneath the porch. But on the right photo, it's missing. This is very hard to spot as no one would think to look underneath the porch. At first I was looking in the windows for a scary face, but luckily that wasn't the case. Just call me Dr. Zeus. Next up is who is this? So this is kind of a pop culture question, but it still tests your intelligence. And this is kind of based off a test which is done on FBI agents. I'll get into that later, but for now, who is the person in these photos? I'll give you some time to work it out, but hopefully we all know. So guys, did you get it? If not, here's a hint. He's a rap legend. That's right guys, it was Eminem aka Marshall Mathers this entire time. I'm sure we can all remember the slim shady bleached hair and the new Eminem brown hair. But isn't it weird that we all know who it is without even seeing his face? This is kind of similar to a test FBI agents have to do. And then those photos are taken away and they're shown small parts of faces. They then have to match these parts of faces up to the main faces. It's a very complex FBI test to test how good they are at remembering people's faces. But if you got this one right, chances are you're quite good at remembering faces. Could you be in the FBI? I'm not sure, but anything's possible. Next up is Wordplay. So the past spot the difference photos have been complex, but at least none of them have had text. Well, on this one you'll only get 10 seconds to find the differences between these two signs. There's a lot of text on here and the font is very unforgiving, so good luck. Your 10 seconds start now. Did you guys get it? If not, no shame. There was a lot of text on here. And unfortunately, no matter how fast you read it, won't help you when you're trying to look for individual letters. That's right, guys, there's only a 1-letter difference between these two photos. As you can see on the left side, it says Mercer County, but on the right, the Y has been removed and it says Mercer Count. So guys, did you get this right or not? If you got it right, then who knows, maybe you could be an English teacher. But if not, then don't worry, as I didn't get this one right the first time either. However guys, we still have some awesome tests left on the list, so don't lose hope yet. Next up is Mona Lisa. So the Mona Lisa is the most famous painting in the world. And because of this, you may instantly be able to think you know exactly which one is right and wrong. Well, check out these two Mona Lisas and tell me which one is a fake. If you get this one right, then maybe you should be an art collector. They look so similar and you may see no difference whatsoever. I'll give you 10 seconds to work it out, but no shame if you don't find it. So guys, did you see it? The chances of you seeing it are pretty slim. That is because on photos and pictures of faces, most people look at the face, and you may have even looked in the background. But really, you should have looked to the lower left. This is where most people don't look, and that's what makes this tricky, but as you can see, there's a light patch on the left and on the right there isn't. But guys, here's another question. Which one is real and which is fake? Most people think the one with the dark patch is real, but then they would be wrong. The one on the left is actually the real one. If you got this wrong, then it's a good thing you're not an art collector. Otherwise, you could be scammed for $1 billion, which is how much the Mona Lisa is valued at. Next up is Bull. Do any of you guys follow the NBA? If so, then what's your favorite team? Many people's favorite team is the Chicago Bulls that Michael Jordan used to play for. So take a look at their logo. As you can see, there's a bull, but what else do you see? That's right, there's something else hidden inside their official logo. Most people don't know this, but if you can see it, then you're very observant. Either that or you're just a huge Chicago Bulls fan. Either way, I'll give you 10 seconds right now to try and work it out. Did you guys get it? If you did get it, then you have to rotate it upside down. If you did get it, then you'll see it looks like a robot reading a book on a park bench. I know it seems crazy, but look at it closely and you'll see it too. It seriously looks like a robot is sitting on a park bench and reading a book. So if you guys know any Chicago Bulls fans, show them this and blow their mind. Personally, I hadn't noticed this before, but if you have, then well done. Next up is Scenic View. So this may seem like a very bland and scenic view with not much going on, but that is where you would be wrong. This one's gonna take you a long time to find, but rules are rules and I'm only gonna give you 10 seconds. But I guess if you guys wanna cheat, you can always pause the video. So if you guys found it in the 10 seconds, then well done. And to be honest, even if you cheated and paused and found it, then well done as well. That is because these photos are very similar. But if you guys are superhumans, then you'll see in the photo on the left, there's a house that appears directly beside the house on the right hand corner. But in the photo on the right, the house isn't there. It's pretty crazy how easily you can get tripped up by this. The photos do look identical, but it goes to show that everything is not always as it seems. Check out the poll in the top right corner to vote for how many of these you got right. I'd say if you got over 7 right, then you're very smart. And if you got all 10, then you're either a genius or a cheater. If you want more amazing videos, then check out my second channel. There'll be a link to that on screen in a moment. But as always, thanks for watching. Check out some more videos on screen right now. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and if you haven't already, what are you waiting for? Subscribe to Top 10s.